Good evening and welcome to Beer Blather 174 SCOTUS Torpedoes USS Biden. And we're going to get into that for sure. A couple of things before we even start with the introductions. We're going on air in YouBoobe, albeit for the next 10-15 minutes, then we'll cut it off. And if you want to keep on watching, there's a link provided so you can join us in Odyssey. We're also going out on Twitter, which lo and behold has a growing audience now. I have no idea why. And of course, Odyssey, and when we're done here, it's going to be left on demand. Please feel free to tip the program through the chat or make a contribution to Quod Verum. By all means, at the least you can do if you're new at this thing is click on subscribe in Odyssey. We don't give a rat's ass if you do it in YouBoobe. And on Twitter. So that you can get notified when we go on the air. And if you find it in your heart and you have $10 to spare, join the channel, get some member exclusive benefits, and know it in your heart that you are helping this lofty enterprise stay on the air. And with that, Peter Blather 174, just in case you already forgot, because I talk too much. SCOTUS Torpedoes USS Biden. This is Saul Montes-Bradley, the largest repository of useless information, directly from Virginia, but not for too long. And right next to me, right over there, Thomas Wictor, the only living expert in World War I flamethrowers, and raconteur extraordinaire, who, I'm sorry, doesn't like French, so delete that last paragraph. And with that, Thomas, how are you doing and how is your life in Californication?
Well, they're getting ready to celebrate the 4th. So a couple days ago, I think the Nevadans seized 3 tons of illegal skyrockets coming into Southern California. And they did it by recognizing a local California gang tattoo on one of the people in the van or whatever it was, a camper. I don't even know. But 3 tons. And I know where it was all coming to. It was coming to my city. It was actually going next door. That's where those 3 tons of skyrockets were going, because those people have been rehearsing. And this year it's the loudest skyrockets they've ever. The skyrockets set off car alarms. So
holy crap!
You hear a psh, and then there's this earth-shattering explosion. And don't bother calling the cops. They don't come out when somebody's in your backyard, so they're not going to come out for skyrockets.
They probably don't give a crap anyway.
No. I mean, they're probably firing them off themselves.
Yes.
But I think to myself, at least we're not Paris. I saw a video of people protesting somebody who the BBC described as a guy with no criminal record who had an extensively long criminal record. And it's like, okay, whatever that means. And these people stole an 18-wheeler, and they were.
You mean Hunter Biden was in Paris?
Did he steal an 18-wheeler?
Wouldn't be bad if he was sufficiently drugged, probably. But there's a guy with no criminal record and an extensive criminal record.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, these guys stole an 18-wheeler and rammed it backwards into, I think it was a bank, and then broke in and stole all the ATMs. This time they're destroying their own neighborhood.
Yep.
And they're preventing any kind of fire rescue or whatever. And they also managed to do something that I figured was coming. They broke into a National Guard armory or something and stole firearms. So they're shooting now. And Macron is going to concerts with Elton John. Okay. And everybody's upset about France, but I mean, do you really care about what these people are doing to themselves?
No. I am also tired because I've been watching it for the past 40 years. Every New Year's Eve, they do this shit.
Yeah.
And every now and then they have a major one, let off some steam. It's always, you said, they destroy the neighborhoods. They always do.
Yeah.
The Bagnouilles, Saint-Denis-sur-Seine, these are all areas which is, if it was in the US, we'd call them projects.
Sure.
But they call it something else. But essentially, the cops don't go there ever.
No.
Every time there is a problem, they barricade, lead cars afire, and start looting and robbing, and it's all to themselves.
Well, see, this is the thing. The French pat themselves on the back for being so kind to refugees, and then they stuff them into favelas. They stuff them into slums.
No, they're very few, because first, they deport a crap load.
Sure.
They out of the people received in I think it was Lampedusa in Italy, because of the agreement in the EU, France was allocated a number, except that as they were arriving in France, the French were deporting them either back to Italy or to Libya or Senegal. Sometimes they don't deport them immediately, but they speed them north to a little camp near Calais,
yep,
where these people are then pushed onto boats to make it to England. So the French talk up a storm about refugees. They just don't want any.
Yeah, and the ones that do stay are crammed into slums.
Crammed into slums, into ghettos, literally. They are not French. They could be into the 5th generation, and they still are not considered French, nor are they entitled to French citizenship.
And they don't consider themselves French.
Well, how can they? I mean, if they do, they put them in a loony bin. Right next to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They're in the delusional wing of the loony bin.
I wonder if all those conservatives pushing for him to be Trump's running mate, what do they think about Kennedy coming out in favor of an assault weapon ban and coming out in favor of affirmative action and opposing the recent actions of the Supreme Court?
Oh,
has that?
Supporting the elimination of student debt.
Yeah. Have you heard any of these conservatives? Has it made a difference? Do they still want him to be Trump's running mate?
Well, usually when I hear one of those pseudo-conservatives, the vibrations come into my ear and right out of my ass. I've become a machine of turning magatard statements into farts, which is, what God intended them to be. No, I don't hear any, and you won't, because they cannot defend, the federal government by fiat, forcing 87% of Americans to pay the play money of 13% of the children of the world to do, because that's what they're asking us to do.
Sure.
They haven't heard him yet on DACA. They haven't heard him yet on our obligation to the poor, the downtrodden, and bring me your illegals. They will eventually.
Yeah.
And don't get me started with the uh, 1980s, late 70s, early 80s. He was a conspiracy bullshit machine. He would come up with one every week. I think it had to do with his use of LSD and anything from mercury in vaccines, never happened, uh, to vaccines kill people. No, they don't. And I'm not talking about the recent arguments about new technology. No, I'm talking about polio, mumps, varicella, smallpox. Pretty much at this point, unarguable stuff. But he did, and he still does. And he created a an organization that is almost single-handedly responsible for the collapse of vaccination rates in some areas of New England and New York State, where we have seen cases of polio resurface and many cases of mumps that was all but eradicated. And they can go thank this asshole.
Well,
I wonder what they'll say about that.
I read somewhere that in California they were trying to have chickenpox parties because they wanted their kids to get it,
Yeah.
and then they'd be immune. And of course, a hell of a lot of these kids got
Really sick.
Yep. And
But it's okay. They're gonna get sick again when they turn 50.
well, I mean,
They get 2 for 1.
the whole thing is I mean, I take various medications for my mind and body, and the warnings that come with it are bone chilling. But
Yes.
what they don't tell you is that they arrived at these warnings by taking some poor mouse or whatever and stuffing them with the equivalent of a metric ton of the stuff. And
Right.
if you stuff a metric ton of chocolate cake into somebody, they're going to get cancer.
Yes.
So
It's like the shit with aspartame now.
yeah, the World Health Organization, they've put it in a category that says it may cause cancer, even though we have absolutely no evidence of it.
Yeah. That tomato juice can cause cancer too. You know that. Or
Everything.
bananas.
No, I mean, I'm a firm believer that for the most part, cancer is mostly related to genetics.
Yeah.
There are families where virtually every woman gets breast cancer, and
Yep.
a lot of women have gotten prophylactic double mastectomies because, their mother had it, their sisters have it, their aunts have it, their cousins have it. And then, of course, there's lifestyle. In the case of both my parents, they didn't exercise, they were sedentary. They each smoked up to 5 packs of cigarettes a day for half a century. My father was up to 2 bottles of scotch a day. That's what he admitted to.
No. That's like my Uncle John that we discussed.
Yeah. No, I've been watching videos on Hollywood's most hardcore alcoholics, and Richard Burton was downing. He was about downing 3 bottles of vodka a day, and in one of his films, he signed a contract saying he wouldn't drink during the course of filming, and they caught him drinking a bottle of vodka a day, and he said, "For me, this isn't drinking."
Right. Anything over 3 is drinking.
Well, Richard Burton died at the age of 58. He looked 80. He had every malady under the sun. Peter O'Toole, if you think about Peter O'Toole, he looked great for about 5 minutes, and then he just got corroded. Richard Harris never stopped drinking. When he made the Harry Potter movies, he was going on pub crawls till 3 a.m. However old he was. But
how about Joe Cocker?
Joe Cocker, Oliver Reed.
He was drunk as a skunk at 10 a.m.
Sure.
He got off the bed already drunk.
John Wayne's contract stated that they couldn't film after noon because he would always be. Wayne was a notorious. He was a nice man until he drank, and since he drank every day, he was a son of a bitch for half the day. He was a mean drunk, and he would start drinking at noon. So they had to get all their filming done before noon because that's when he would start drinking, and he was smoking up to 7 packs of filterless cigarettes a day. Well, Wayne had 1.5 lungs removed, and he died of stomach cancer. So that's all lifestyle oriented. But for the most part,
paraphrasing my cousin who died of colon cancer. She was a lifetime smoker. She says, I don't know why I got cancer in the colon. I never stuck the cigarettes up my ass. I just smoke them. And in the case of John Wayne, it's like, why stomach cancer? I didn't eat the stuff.
Well, see, the thing about, okay, if you're, it's all intertwined. So if you're, okay, when Errol Flynn died at 49. Yep. When Errol Flynn made some of his last movies, he could fence for about 15 seconds, and then they had to stop. So he and David Niven lived in a house by the beach, and the house was called Cirrhosis by the Beach. And okay, Niven lived quite a long time, but he was an incredibly. I mean, it was Errol Flynn, David Niven, Humphrey Bogart, John Barrymore, and somebody else. And Barrymore, was, his drunkenness killed him, and they had to put his lines on big placards all around the off camera so he could read them. And after he died, everybody, all the buddies, with the exception of Errol Flynn, they broke into the funeral home and they stole his body, and they brought it to Errol Flynn's house, and they propped him up in a chair and crossed his leg and put a cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other. When Errol Flynn came home, and they opened his eyes, and so here's Errol Flynn. He comes in and he sees John Barrymore, and he runs screaming out of the house, and then they, surprise, and he laughed. And they all got bombed, and then took him back to the funeral home as the sun was coming up. So, Bogart died of esophageal cancer, which is from drinking and smoking.
I understand, by the way, reflux can do that too.
Oh yeah, no, and okay, Bill Clinton. I'm shocked at Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has the classic reflux voice, and he doesn't look very good these days. He looks very enfeebled. Yeah, think about it.
That's what happens when you live with Hillary.
Well, Donald Trump is 2 years younger than Joe Biden.
Yep.
And look at the difference. It's shocking.
And it looks like Obama is trying to play catch up.
Oh my God. Obama and
Michelle.
They went to Australia, and it was just like, oh my God, you people, just stay out of public. She was like, her face was like this the whole time.
It's deformed. I mean, she has a face that you say, whoa, what a bitch. because it's you can see the evil in her face. She's definitely not a nice person.
No, and
Uh,
Obama,
Obama, you don't see the evil so much, but in both of them, you're beginning to see the ravages of a dissipated lifestyle.
yeah, and Obama has the classic alcoholic face. It's that paper thin skin with the
Skin and puffiness.
lines and you know in Trump is a famous teetotaler. His older brother died of alcoholism, and Trump said, I'm never going to drink, and by all accounts, he hasn't. Trump is ageless. He's not 20, but you have no idea how old he is from looking at him. And the
Yep.
way he talks,
He certainly looks 10 years younger than Biden, not two.
easily, his mind is like this. He's timeless. He's eternally hip. And when Biden, that interview on whatever it was, MSNBC, where he just got up and wandered off stage. That's our
Oh,
president.
in the middle of the show,
Yeah, that's our
in the middle
president.
of a question, I saw that one.
Yeah.
No, nobody knows what the hell happened there.
No, he forgot where he was, and he wanted Jill. Where's Jill? And so he got up and shambled away. And he's our president. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to remind me, okay? We can't have 2 hours of peace and quiet. You have to remind me that thing is our president.
Yeah, he's our president, and he's the guy ostensibly making decisions about what to do with Russia and and China, and I guess those are the two major ones. I guess Iran. Well, we're appeasing the Iranians, and
Yeah, well, but that started with the abomination.
yeah,
They're just followed. So there's the same team of assholes from Blinken down. Everybody participated in the first round.
sure.
All of them had their fingerprints in the pallets of cash, and all of them are trying to do the same thing now. Apparently, they've never seen a terrorist they don't love to death. But the other thing is, like, just since we were talking about SCOTUS, uh, have you seen Biden's reaction? SCOTUS comes out and tells him, "No, asshole. What you're trying to do here is unconstitutional. It's illegal and gets women pregnant. There's no quality to redeem it. You don't have the authority to do that. It's bunkum and goodbye." And his first comment is, "Well, we're going to find other ways to do this by fiat."
Yeah,
I mean, I thought the sons of bitches are sworn to uphold the Constitution, not to find ways around and under it.
but they've been saying that. I mean, remember Obama kept saying, "If Congress won't act, I will."
I have a pen and a phone.
Yeah, and the people supporting Biden and Obama, they thought that was great. What if Trump decided to do that? What if Trump said, "I don't care what Congress and the Supreme Court say. I'm going to start giving orders, and they better be followed"?
Right.
Can you
And
imagine?
and 10 months from now, when the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional, we'll find another illegal way of doing things to replace it.
No. Well, let's review what SCOTUS has done that has left us all in a tizzy.
Ooh.
So tell our audience the major ones.
The major way, you asked me to do the whole list. You know that my brain is shit. Okay. The first one, of course, is this notion that the government eliminating debt unilaterally by the president's balls and forcing 87% of Americans to pay the debts of the other 17% of leeches is unconstitutional. Bingo, win. Another one was, of course, the stab in the nuts of systemic racism in America by telling universities that admissions based on race are, oh my God, racist and unconstitutional and a violation of the 15th Amendment. Lovely, isn't it?
Mhm.
Of course, that is sent every Democrat in the fruited plain into paroxysms of guilt because, we they're killing black children doing this. I think it was, who was it? I think it was Jumanji who wrote in a decision something like uh, uh, black children have double the rate of death at birth when delivered by non-black doctors.
What?
Tweet, 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 tweet. Yes, she's actually misquoting a rather interesting study that does exist but doesn't say that, that looked at the relationship between uh, uh, problems in health wise and whether the patients have doctors of the same race, which sometimes means they trust them more and say things they would otherwise not say, uh, or speak the same Creole, and they can communicate better. So the study had a completely different slant, but she misquoted it, and she actually said that in answer to this. That's how fucking crazy these people are. Another one was, oh my God, did you know that the state cannot compel you to say shit you don't believe in?
Say it again. The state?
Did you know that the state cannot legally compel you to say things you don't believe in?
Yeah, that's actually the most far-reaching ruling of all, because that's going to be applied to pretty much everything. And you're
Oh,
talking about
God.
a web designer, right?
Hmm. Yes, indeed. Because what the case boils down to is not whether she likes gay people or not. It's not whether, no, no, no. The case is, can the state force you to say or write or in any other way express an opinion that you do not spouse or face penalties?
And the state said no, or sorry, the Supreme Court
The,
said
the
no
Supreme
because
Court,
it's a violation of your
yes.
First Amendment rights.
I understand a couple of the judges actually said, fuck no.
Well, see, again, this is something that benefits everybody. It has nothing to do actually with gay people. Um, as we both
Right.
know, there are activists going around um, deliberately trying to set up people who they know are going to be reluctant to play ball with them, and then they file lawsuits. And in this case, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said no, that Colorado, in this case, cannot compel a web designer to design a website celebrating something that she doesn't believe in. And
Right, because she actually has to write those statements. She has to create the content
yes,
celebrating that. And by the way, there is no lack of designers in this country that would very happily take on the job,
of course.
speak with conviction and passion, and maybe even give a couple of discount.
Yeah.
There is no need to force this woman to do, to actually write stuff she finds objectionable,
No, and see,
regardless of the merits.
that's what this is all about. And have you heard of the latest of DeSantis stepping on his own wiener? Have you heard?
Yeah.
the Pride ad.
Yes.
So DeSantis does not, according to this ad at any rate, does not differentiate between common sense adults and wild-eyed activists. He says they're all the same. And so he put out an ad claiming that Trump has done more than any other Republican to advance the Pride agenda. And this thing backfired like you wouldn't believe. It's so tone deaf that it shows once again in another way, another day in another way, Ron DeSantis is not ready, and he's doing himself such damage that, he may destroy his brand completely outside of Florida. And the ad that he produced had an eerie. He was using scenes from American Psycho. I mean, I say he. It wasn't he. It was
right. No, it wasn't he, but it was the people doing his name.
Exactly.
I assume at the end of the ad, I am Ron DeSantis and I approve this message.
Yeah.
That's it, baby.
Yeah. But this is not a winning issue in a general election.
No.
Winning issue is to say, we're going to protect your kids from being exposed to things that common sense tells us they're too young to be exposed to.
We're going to protect your kids from being over-sexualized at a tender age. I don't care if it is a trans reading hour, a gay pride,
Or
man loves boy, or a practical lesson in heterosexual sex.
Yeah, putting condoms on cucumbers for elementary school kids. Remember when, or what was that crazy Surgeon General talking about how you need to teach in schools, teach kids how to masturbate?
Yeah.
All that sort of
By the way, you know that comes out of the Little Red Book. That Mao-style Little Red Book written by communists in the U.S. in the 1970s.
Yeah.
That's where this shit started.
Yeah. No,
the school Little Red Book is called.
In common sense adults of all orientations all agree that little kids should not be exposed to this stuff. It's on are we still on YouTube?
Yes, let's go out of there.
Yeah, because I'm going to use
because I'm going to get rowdier with this one.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on just 1 second. We need to. Okay, there we are. And of course, my backup computer, as you know, it's slower than an 80-year-old horse, if such thing were possible.
I think they live to be 40 or so.